Welcome to our next episode of the Solo Business and Life Show. Today I have with me wonderful Sue Ferreira that I met recently at the Best Kept Secret to Success in Vancouver. And she really inspires me. She's an awesome lady. You're going to hear all about her. And she was actually a physician for 4 decades and then reinvented herself and became an entrepreneur. She created Wisdom to Wealth Mastery to take your wisdom to the world and to extend your influence, your reach and impact, and of course, your income. Sue, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you very much, Milena, for having me. It's just a pleasure. We kind of really hit it off at the event that we were both speaking at in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Sorry, you can...
We absolutely did. Sorry for the interruption. I'm so excited when I speak to you. You know, I just have to talk. But so you have an interesting story. I mean, how do you go from being a physician to now teaching others? Can you share your story? Because it's very interesting.
Yeah, I will. I mean, you aren't the first one who's asked me that question, as you may guess. But really most of us, when we look back on what we do, it reflects back on our previous lives. And it's kind of scary to think about it, but I went to medical school 52 years ago, which is like over half a century. Mm-hmm. And I've been so privileged because in those 50 years, I have seen a dramatic change in medicine, in health, in society. And if I hadn't done medicine, I'd have done history. So I always combine the two, and I used to teach history of medicine and all that kind of stuff. And what I've seen is just so many changes because of the technology that's come along. And I've just been blown away by how long we are living now compared with when I went to med school like 50 years ago. And we've probably put 25 years on our life expectancy. And if you look at the curve, that's going to go on. So in the last couple of years, I mean, we've been having 94, 95-year-old women come into the OR to get new knees. And as I always say, one wonderful woman of 94 said, I'm so excited. I need this new knee so I can get back to my Tai Chi and my gardening. That I would never have seen that 50 years ago. You just wouldn't have seen it. So with this knowledge of how long we're going to live, and I reckon most of you better start planning for your 100th birthday, I also realized that most folks are not prepared for these bonus decades. And as I went into my later years, I got divorced at 60. Which was after a 34-year marriage. And that's, that a lot of us go through the sadness of divorce. But it made me realize how many women are facing those later years alone. And a lot of them are not financially or emotionally prepared to live, say, 40 to 50 years after the age of 60 in good health. So I've always been a bit of a techie dude. And I set out really to help women, and business women especially, because they're really at risk, no pensions, all that kind of stuff, and to help business women move into this new world of the web, because increasingly the web, which is increasingly all video, will be what you need to understand and what you need to use if you're going to take your wisdom to the world and generate added income for now and for your later years. So that's why I made the switch. I used to always get kidded about computers being attached to my hip. And I said, yeah, you're absolutely right. So that's what I'm doing in my later years for my second act.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, you really identify the real need that's going on because the life expectancy is increasing. So how much do you see the increase? Well, let's start somewhere else, actually. So you work with women primarily, right? Over 45, is that correct?
You've got it. Primarily, that's my group. And it's my group because I'm pretty techie, and I watch what's happening on the web, and I watch what's happening in YouTube, and the younger kids are crushing it. I mean, that's a younger kid word for a start, right? Crushing it. So we picked that up because not a lot of oldest ones crush things. But I get terribly distressed when I see these older women who have incredible wisdom. I mean, they've got the wisdom of being knocked around in the world, and they've got gifts to give back, and they want to give them back, but they grew up before the web, and that is a huge handicap. And I don't want their wisdom to be lost. I don't want their futures to be any other than they really deserve them to be in their later years. And it's video and the web that will take them to that world. But it's an area that they have tech terrors for a start. And secondly, most women don't like being on camera. And I solve those two, and I teach video, and I put you out onto the web where you can compete with those young'uns.
So why do you think most women don't want to be in the camera? Why are they not comfortable?
Good question, Milena. It again, I can get emotional about it. It really upsets me to see the lack of self-worth in women. It comes down to two reasons: lack of self-worth and fear, and they're interlinked. Fear of being seen. I had the time over my divorce where my self-esteem was really knocked about, and I understand what it's like not to be seen. And I just get really upset that the vast number of women who have had a whole load of, shit happen in their lives that holds them back from flourishing and being who they really need to be and giving their gifts to the world. To me, it's a real sadness, and it's very, very common.
Yeah. And you know what? I think you really pointed out to something that is very painful. I know even when I started doing videos, how much I obsessed. Is my makeup perfect? Is everything on its spot? How other people are going to think about me? I don't do that anymore that much. It's like, if it's not perfect, so what? And then comparing to men, where they can just show up in the t-shirt, no makeup, and they're fine with it. They're cool with it, right? And they look good. So why don't we dare to do that? What's that pressure that we're experiencing, that we need to go into perfection to be acceptable by the world and not judged?
Yep. And I think it comes from not having full equality. I mean, there's all this stuff out there about equality, and that's being hit again at the moment. And I just think for so many women, they're always told they're not enough. They don't feel they're enough. They live in the shadows. And I mean, we live in the society that is the most empowering for women and is still prevalent. What that can be like, what it must feel like in countries where they're not empowered at all. I've love Africa, and I've been there many times. And it's not so much maybe that women aren't empowered in some countries in Africa, because they are, but they haven't had lack of education. And I see these kids and I think, you could be an Einstein if you had all the privileges, the empowerment, and the education that are available in some parts of the world. And again, I think, what a waste for anyone not to be able to live their life to the fullest that they can live and give and feel enriched. It's a tragedy, and it's huge. And so, really, I think it comes down to being put down and a lack of self-worth. It's a massive loss to the world.
Yeah. So then how do you get women to open up and to step in front of the camera and share the wisdom? What do you do to them and with them?
Well, I got to admit, I'm pretty successful.
I believe you.
And I'll admit too, sometimes wine and chocolates is the first move. I find that if I'm at a meeting and nobody wants to do this, if I'm holding a small networking group, I'll get the wine and chocolates out, and then as a group we hit the Facebook Live button on the Only Me. So it's the first one, isn't it? It's always that first step. Yeah. That is so difficult. So I have used wine and chocolates a few times to get people over the first step, but there are several. I teach an online course with the original name of Video Marketing 101, where I take people step by step through video. And I think you have to do it in a non-threatening way. And we're talking right now on Zoom. And Zoom is a huge helper for me, because number one, when I do interviews on Zoom, I'll often see someone will come up and it's the first time they've been on video and they're terrified, and they're like this at the beginning when they want to talk, and they're scared rigid. And I love it because I can sit and watch, and after about 30 seconds, I can see their shoulders go down and I think, yeah, okay, they're getting into it. And then before long, they're in and they're animated because they've forgotten they're on camera. And at the end of it, I say, you're not happy on video, but you've been on video for 40 minutes and you're absolutely fantastic. And I'm sending you the video now of it. Oh, I don't want to look at it. Just watch it and see the difference between the beginning and end. So Zoom is a huge help. The iPhone is a huge help because you can do your own videos, which without having it go anywhere. And I think one of the major keys is, one of the major reasons women don't want to be on camera is, as you say, my hair's not right, I need to lose 10 pounds. But also we focus on ourselves when we get in front of a camera. We become self-absorbed. So I use various techniques. I actually have all my cameras set up behind me here, and I got a teddy bear on top of the camera, so that I get people to talk through the lens, to forget the lens, to talk through the lens, and talk to either their best client that they've ever had or the person they love most, and give the message to them. And once they've mentally prepared themselves to give the message to someone else, rather than be worried about what their hair looks like, it's very effective, and very rapidly they can move and be animated and give the story from their heart, not worrying about themselves. So I have various techniques, and so far I've been pretty successful.
Yeah, and I can see how successful you can be in this, because I mean, you are probably the most humorous person I know. I heard you speak and you're awesome, so I can see how people would relax in your presence, because I think it's inevitable. But can we save women, and even men, if there are men out there that are struggling with the same issue, from this, I don't know, I would even almost use the word, the curse of how I look, like of that, you know? Does it really matter? Let's say when I look the videos of other people, I don't obsess over, oh my gosh, they should lose weight. I don't obsess over their nose is too big or anything. It's the message. But so what do you think about this? When you see a video of somebody that is not done to perfection, the hair, not every hair stands in its place, what do you think? How do you perceive them? Does it really matter?
It doesn't matter one little bit. And if I had that in big flashing red lights, that's what I'd have in. Nobody cares. You're the only one that cares. And it's irrelevant. The message is everything. And if you're giving a good message with your heart, and working out what your clients or whoever is going to receive the message, what do they really need? What do they want to hear from you? And you give them a solution, you're golden. I mean, I've done a lot of programs on the web, because I went from nothing. Like 4 years ago, I knew nothing about any of this, apart from the fact I like the web, right? So I've learned a huge amount. I've watched people doing different videos. I've watched gurus. Some of the best video marketers out there have got lousy videos, but their message gets across. And I think it comes back to that stepping over the threshold, taking that first step, doing the Nike, just do it. And your first video, I'll be honest, is going to be crap, but so it's done. So the learning curve is incredibly rapid. As soon as you've done that first one and you think that's awful, I always say keep that one, because that shows you how much you've improved, and then just keep doing it and you will skyrocket very rapidly.
Yeah, I remember my first videos. They actually are on YouTube. For some reason, I said, I'll just leave them there. But if you look at my first tries in videos versus what I'm doing today, huge difference. Yeah. It's massive, because it is a learning curve, right?
Yep. I mean, we didn't ride a bike the first time. We fell off, we scraped our knees. You get up, you do it again. Yeah. And it's all take that first step, persist, do it again, rinse and repeat. That's it. Yeah.
So how is that impacting people's income? Well, so what do you, let's start here. What do you suggest? Which platforms do you suggest for them to use? And then how is then, when they finally show up and are doing things, how is that impacting their income?
And that's a fantastic question, because one of the major challenges for my target group is overwhelm, right? I love, there's a lovely cartoon which says my brain has too many tabs open. And that's what people feel like, right? They've got Instagram, they've got Pinterest, they've got Twitter, they've got all of these different platforms. So when I start with folks, I say, forget them all except for two. Remember, Facebook and YouTube. They are all that matter. The rest you can do later. So I get them to focus on those two initially, and they're very different platforms. Facebook is instant. Facebook Live is very powerful because you go out to the world instantly. Yeah. The big drawbacks with Facebook is there's no search function. So if you want to learn how to change a washer, you don't go to Facebook, right? And then it disappears down the timeline very quickly. So Facebook is like the hair, and it's instant, and you can get your message out. But YouTube, to me, is the most neglected, most powerful platform out there. It's more the tortoise, and it takes more work to get your presence noticed on YouTube. But if you think about it, Google and YouTube, which Google owns anyway, are the two most powerful search engines in the world. So I say to someone, ask yourself, if you put your name and your business into Google or into YouTube, what's going to show up? What is going to turn up showcasing you? Because that's really where your web presence is. Yeah. So if you do that and you look at it and you think, well, would anyone be able to find me with my web footprint that I have right now? Because most people honestly have a flea-sized footprint when they need a Sasquatch or an elephant-sized footprint. Yeah. And YouTube can do that for you. So I start them out doing Facebook Live and doing YouTube, and getting used to those two different mediums, the hare and the tortoise, and then move them on from there, because the rest will just, if you try to do stuff beyond that, you're going to get confused, you're going to get overwhelmed, and you're going to give up. So those are the only two platforms I would recommend people focusing on at the beginning.
And how quickly then they see that their income's growing, that their visibility is growing?
That's a tough one too. It certainly doesn't happen overnight. It depends on a lot of factors, but if you don't do it, it's never going to happen, okay? But it depends on how competitive your niche is. There are some extremely competitive niches out there right now. I mean, what I love about all these wonderful women is their desire to make the world a better place, to empower women, but that is a very competitive niche. So if you're going into that niche, you really need to, I recommend watching other gurus or top people in that niche. Watch what they do, model what they do, and think about your message. If you're in a niche that might be female skateboarders, you're going to get up there a lot faster, right? Because there aren't that many female skateboarders. So it depends a lot on your niche. It depends a lot on your own story, and how you can interweave that into what you're offering. But the bottom line is, the web is already 75% video and rising. Facebook, Zuckerberg says Facebook's going to be all video, and I believe him, within a few years. So if you're not there, you're never, ever going to be able in the place where people are going to find you, see you, and be able to basically be able to find you, see you, and give you money for your wisdom and your gifts. It can take a while, which is why I say start now. And in fact, I really wish people had started a few years ago, because it can take a while to build a presence. But if you don't do it, you're going nowhere in this new world.
That's correct. Yeah. Are there any recommendations you have for people? You know, is there any business that needs video more than the other, or is it the same for no matter what kind of business you're in?
Everybody needs video. Everybody. And I think if you're a businesswoman and you're spending your life doing one-on-ones or one to a few, which is like doing workshops to maybe 20 people, excuse me, or giving, talking to 100 people in a room, you're limiting your reach and your influence. And when they go to look for you on the web, because, people don't use yellow pages anymore, they go to the web. If they can't find you there, then that really limits the way that your message is getting out. So, I really think everybody needs to do is, excuse me, there are no exceptions. You don't really need to learn any more content or change your story anymore, but you have to have an appreciation. It's like a ripple. How far out is your ripple going to go? Mm-hmm. And one-on-one takes you, it's the big sploosh at the beginning, and then you've got one to a few, and then video takes you out and ripples you to such a large audience potentially.
Wow. And do you have any recommendations for people when they're shooting their videos? Is there any structure to video? Do they have to tell their story? Do they have to give call to action at the end? Or what are those few components that they need to put in the video?
Well, one of the things I find most, Milena, is that you've got to have clarity. And I think you would agree with that. If you don't have clarity of who you are and what your story is and what you offer, it's almost a waste of time staffing. And that comes back to the issue we almost started with, which is mindset and knowing yourself and not being afraid to put yourself out there. So I think you have to be at a stage where you can tell your story, because your story and what you offer gives you clarity. But once you've got clarity, it's actually, there is kind of a structure I take people through, which is quite simple. And the first one is simply to do to take your elevator pitch, if you want, that you would do at a networking meeting, and build that up into an opt-in on your webpage. Because that is like your elevator pitch. This is the core me. This is who I am. This is what I offer. I offer it because I help so that they can. You know, there's a structure to that. And that's the key to everything. And then beyond that, I just say to folks, well, you know, what is it you're offering? What are the key pain points? And I've got a system where I just build out, easily building 20, 30 videos, which you didn't even know you had inside you. And once you've got those 30 going, it's quite funny, because when I'm teaching this, I start with someone who doesn't know what they're going to do with video. And then I watch, you know, I see the lights come on as I'm doing a Zoom interview. And then it's like, oh my God, my brain's exploding. I can do this. I can do this. Yes. Now you're at the point where you know that your videos are endless. I was coaching someone yesterday afternoon, and she's just saying, oh my goodness, I've got so much information. Oh, this, and I say, yeah, you've got enough here for the rest of your life. You don't need to get any more content. You just need to put it into packets and send it out there to the world. Yeah. We've all got it in us.
So do you notice that in your clients? Because that's what I notice with my clients, is that they go, oh, but I don't know enough yet. I mean, other people are smarter. Other people are more knowledgeable than I am.
Yeah, not the case. That's back to self-belief, isn't it? And mindset. I mean, if someone, you know, I look at Mark Zuckerberg, he's younger than my youngest kid, for goodness sakes. Yeah. If he has enough wisdom, if the 21-year-old has enough wisdom, it's a different kind of wisdom. They haven't got worldly wisdom, but you know, if they can do it, come on, ladies, we can do it too.
Absolutely. And I think I just love what you're doing, because you're really taking these women and you know, blasting them into this world, because I really think it's important that we share what we know. Yeah. Younger generations need to know what we've gone through, what we know, so that they can grow faster. I think that now is the time. If any time in the human history was the right time to step up and do something good, I think it's right now, based on what's happening in the world.
Oh, I am so with you. And if we stay silent, they will never know us who we truly are. Because if we stay silent, they'll never know. They'll never know what we've been through. They won't know who we are. I mean, video, it's sometimes difficult. And I think you know this too, Milena. It's sometimes really difficult to really have people, especially the ones who grew up without the web, to realize the power of the web and the power of video in our entire lives. And if we don't get out there, we're going to be lost.
Yeah.
And it's simple. It's that simple. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, one question just popped up. Facebook Live versus YouTube, right? Because when you're on Facebook Live, how much do people obsess over, am I going to make a mistake? Because it's live, it's happening right now. People are seeing me in this moment. What if I say something wrong? Versus on YouTube, where you can, you know, prepare, you know, in advance what you're going to say. You can stop, you can pause, you can re-record. How much more pressure is Facebook Live?
I think if you need more than a couple of minutes, I think it is quite a big, it is an added pressure. I mean, I feel more pressure when I do Facebook Live than when I do a recorded video. I don't know if you do too. There are ways that you can actually, a teleprompter is another way I didn't mention that helps people get over the angst of video. And I use teleprompters quite a bit. And if I'm anxious and I got a longer Facebook Live to do, I will have a teleprompter with bullet points to keep me And then that's easy to do. I mean, you either have a proper teleprompter or, you know, you can hang up a piece of paper or something like that. I think it's like everything. If you practice it, you get better at it. But I think initially it is more pressure. But on the other hand, your audience has much more acceptance and allows you a lot more leeway because they know it's live. And so it's that trade-off. They don't care if you flub or you mess up.
Yeah.
Again, it's back. We care more than they do.
Mm-hmm. And is there any ideal length of Facebook Live video and YouTube? Is there, when you say you capture their attention, but if you go too long, you're going to lose them?
Yeah, I think that's especially true on both platforms. But if you look at a lot of if we take YouTube first, you really, if you can keep it within the 3 to 5 minute range, one point, one solution, bang, you're in. If I go looking for something on YouTube and the guy's rumbling around a bit first and he doesn't give, I'm off. I mean, we know you have less than 5 seconds to capture someone's attention or they're gone. If someone has a complicated, very flashy 9-second intro, I'm gone. And in fact, most people have given up doing the intro bits now because everyone wants an instant response. Yeah. So I think with YouTube, it depends what you're doing and what you're offering, but I try to keep mine to 3 to 5 minutes max. On Facebook, it's a more complicated story because Facebook wants you to be there on video. And they will reward you for longer videos. So your max now, I think it's 4 hours. Like, holy smokes, really? But so again, I think you have to think about what people want, think about what you are offering, and try and making it. I think another power of video is it forces you to be concise. It forces you to think about what you're saying, what the issue is, what the solution is, and how they can get hold of you. Okay. Facebook is an interesting one in that, you're always got that push that if I do a longer one, then they're going to reward me and I'm going to be shown to more people. But that doesn't necessarily pan out if it's boring as heck. So it's Facebook Live is an interesting medium, and it's only a year old and it's changing rapidly.
Mm-hmm. So let me clarify this, because I was surprised when you said this. And so Facebook Live can be longer than YouTube.
Yeah. Well, it can be way longer. I mean, I'm not saying people will stay. And a lot of folks don't realize there are analytics in the background of YouTube and the background of Facebook where you can go and see what the retention rate is. Like, does everybody come to your video and drop off after 5 seconds? Well, that's not going to do too well. Do they stay on your video for how long? But if you're going to go longer, you've got to have a way of keeping people's attention and seeing how effective your video is, because it's a fickle crowd out there. And if you're not giving them what they want, boom, they're gone, and they've gone on to the next video, or they've gone on to someone else who can give them what they want. Mm-hmm. And I've certainly had a few people, when I was doing more video editing, I'm getting out of that personally now, send me like an hour and 3/4 of a Facebook Live. And it's like, really, this is like watching paint dry. Yeah. So you've got to think about what you're doing and think about the trade-offs.
Mm. So can you explain a little bit your program? What are you guiding people through? How does this work?
Well, I've got 2 programs. One is an online program called Purse Power, because I firmly believe we all walk around with this thing that we call the phone, which is an insult because it's an HD TV studio, and it's just a remarkable thing. But most people can hit the button, create a video, hit the button again, but then they don't do anything with it because they don't know where it's going to go. So I have a program called Purse Power where I take you through doing everything. In fact, I recorded the entire program on my iPhone to show you what you can do on an iPhone. Except, when I needed it actually in the picture. And so I show you how to edit video, how to upload to YouTube, how to create a YouTube, do SEO on YouTube, Facebook Live, and all that kind of stuff. So that's just a standalone online program called Purse Power. And then I also have, I'll do group one-on-one, I'll do one-on-one coaching. I also have group coaching as well, where I have Video Marketing 101, where I do take you from the very, very beginnings and just ease people into this world of video, which is intimidating to them. I take away the fear. I take away that I don't want to be on camera, and I help them do the same kind of thing, build a YouTube channel, think about what are going to be on their videos, and just slowly move them out, excuse me again, with it, and give them a simple plan. By the end of that 3 months course online, they will leave with a plan that they can do rinse and repeat video, blogs, or whatever they need to do.
Oh, wow. Well, I think that's awesome. And I really hope that more and more people will look for your help, because first of all, you are an expert in this field. You know how important it is, and you really want to help people get their wisdom out there. And I really honor you. I really appreciate you for what you're doing, because you are so much needed in this world. You know, just to give out the secret, just today I become your target, your client. I just hit 45 days.
Oh, happy birthday, Milena. You're ahead of the curve. Yeah. Happy birthday. I mean, you're already doing it, but you know, if you're out there public speaking, why aren't you on video? I look at so many speakers organizations, and they're speaking, but that's as far as it goes. That makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you for the work you do. Where can our listeners find you?
They can find me at wisdom2wealthmastery.com. If they want, I have a Facebook group where we answer any tech questions. Like, you know, if you're frustrated and you say, how do I download a Facebook Live video? Then I have a Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/wisdom2wealthmastery. You can email me at info@wisdom2wealthmastery.com. You can Facebook message me. I mean, goodness, the number of ways we have to get hold of each other these days is legion. So, you know, basically you just put my name into the web, find Facebook, or find my website, or email me, Facebook message me, and I'd love to chat to folks to see how we can move you simply and easily into the world of video and help you create that bigger impact that you want to have and make the world a better place. And once you do that, the income comes automatically. You create the impact, you create the visibility first, and then the income comes.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sue, for being here and inspiring us to share our message. I think that's massively important for all of us. Thank you for the work you do, and good luck with everything, and keep inspiring women to show up and do their videos.
Milena, thank you very much. You inspire me too. I know your story, and I just think we're blessed to know each other and know other women who say enough. I am enough. And I'm going out there and I'm giving the world my wisdom. And let's do it. All of us. Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Let's do it. Thank you, Sue.